Just doing a sound check. Can you hear me at the back? Good. And welcome, everybody. There's some new faces, people I've not met. My name's Hero. And if there's anyone who's coming for the first time, is anyone new to learn to meditate? Thank you. I'll just start with a little bit of information for those people who are newcomers. The first thing that, how am I going to, just going to work out what order I'll do things. Firstly, Graham and I thought that it's kind of nice to not have the heater on because it is quite noisy, but I just want to check in with anyone as to whether they're feeling really cold. If they are, there are some blankets at the back if there are any left, and there's also shawls there too. So just want to check out whether anyone wants to. We can have a show of hands. Are most people okay about us not having the heater on? Good-o. The other thing that I wanted to say before we start is that, and I know most of you are sitting, but what I tend to find is that if people are feeling a bit uncomfortable, and the truth is that sometimes we do feel pretty uncomfortable in the body, aches and pains, maybe injuries and other stuff going on. And what sometimes can get in the way of really settling into meditation is the arising of discomfort that kind of gets too much. So I do encourage people to, if they're uncomfortable on the seat, to maybe try sitting on a cushion or vice versa. So I will check out with anyone if they'd like to shift the position, okay? But the other thing is that I'm also aware that when one is sitting on the floor, and we're all structurally very different, but I just want to demonstrate so that you're aware, particularly if you wanted to experiment with maybe coming and sitting on the floor, about how to do it in a way that's going to keep you comfortable for half an hour at least. So before we start, I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of positions and the key thing to note about, and I'll be the first to say that I've got very flexible, and I can actually sit without having any supports, and it's unusual, but most people, do struggle a bit. So I'm just going to, and if you need to shift to see, you might be aware of all these things anyway, but I'll get myself. So what I tend to do is sit in something that's called the Zazen position, So I'm just going to demonstrate that first, and I like to have 3 cushions, but one can do that with 2 cushions. I'm just going to put those out the way. So tendency, it does help to sort of just have those cascading a little bit forward so that most of your weight is at the front of the cushions. I'm just going to, so this is just like kneeling. So that is, now we've got lots of cushions at the back, so, and there's also some spare cushions, underneath the vacant chairs. So that's actually a really good one. I find it good. And I've got a knee problem, so I find that varying my position from one to sometimes I will go like this. This one doesn't work so well for me, but I'm just going to, so one can go down like that. Some people don't like to cross their legs, so. But the other way to do this is also to get, again, one can start to run out of cushions if everyone wants to do this, but actually being in this position and then having cushions under the knees like that. So if you get a chance to come early and just have a play around with that. If you are uncomfortable sitting, which you may not be, but these are, just things that can help. So, and one doesn't need to have 3. Most of the time, people are comfortable enough with 2 like that, and then maybe just 1 under the knees. So, lots of options. I'm going to officially start the session now. So one of the first things that we do is set an intention for ourselves. It's what we sometimes call bookending the session by setting an intention at the beginning and then at the end of the session dedicating any benefits, anything that we gained from the practice and how that might impact positively for ourselves and for others. So if you may have your own motivation or an intention that you practice regularly, so you can use that or change it, whatever is your choice. But if you've not set an intention before, just simply think of what has drawn you, just reflecting on why you're attending tonight, what has motivated you to come along and what do you hope to get out of the session. So just in a phrase or a few words, just recall what that is and set an intention for yourself. It might be something as simple as, I've come along tonight to find ways to balance in my life, or seeking more calmness now, or something else. So let's take a moment to our intention. And now we're going to check our posture. So the first thing is just to check your spine. Make sure that it's upright but relaxed. So we don't want sort of a rigid form, just a relaxed form, and it can help. Imagine that there's a thread pulling up very gently at the crown of your head, like a very gentle pulling up, and you'll just notice that if you do that, the back of the neck straightens a little. There's a slight dipping of the chin. These are sort of almost sometimes just micro movements. It's just feeling your way about pulling the chin in a little bit, elongating the back of the neck, just feeling a gentle rising of the crown, be a millimetre or two for some. And at the same time allowing the shoulders to relax, maybe even rolling them back ever so slightly so that there's not a collapse in the posture, which can often happen as the meditation goes along, particularly when one's tired. So that sense of just opening up the chest a little bit. Head is balanced across the shoulder, what's called the shoulder girdle. The shoulders relaxed. The eyes can be just looking at a spot on the floor a couple of meters ahead. One's having one's eyes open, softening the gaze. So not focusing intensely on anything in particular, but just relaxed. Or one can close one's eyes. The only downside of closing one's eyes is that it does tend to induce sleepiness, so that's something else that one will have to work with, but just check out whether closing your eyes, maybe opening them partially, finding a spot on the floor, just see what that feels like and what you'll work with to start with. Your hands relaxed. If you're sitting on a chair, your feet on the ground, just check that the weight on your feet is nicely balanced. Just draw your awareness to the position of your tongue in your mouth. You can allow the tongue to just float, but sometimes it's helpful to find a place for it. For example, even just touching the tip of the tongue up against the upper teeth. Just resting the tongue there very gently can be relaxing. And what's always a good thing to start meditation with is to use our senses, our experience of sensing in the world. It's a beautiful way of bringing ourselves into the present moment, which is really what we're attempting to do with meditation as we start the practice. And look, there are many different kinds of meditations, but one of the challenges that we have is being able to calm the thinking mind. And so we'll just start by using our senses as a way to develop our capacity to witness and notice what our mind is doing without being taken away by the stories that the mind is always, in a way, trying to get us to do. It's a very natural thing for the mind to want to go off and analyze and evaluate and to make judgments about what's happening or what isn't happening, either in the past or in the present or in the future. So let's just start with a temperature. Just sense the temperature of the room. Noticing maybe your hands, they may be feeling warm or they may be feeling cool. You may notice the cool air of the gompa. Gompa means meditation room. That's where we're sitting, in the gompa. Move your awareness to listening for sound. Or silence. And maybe already that sense of relaxation has started as you're orienting yourself to be present here now. So if you notice yourself just wandering off into daydreams, there's no problem with that. But as soon as you're aware that your mind has wandered or you're drifting into sleep, then just check your posture again. Spine erect. Just roll the shoulders back a little, pulling your chin in a little. Maybe even opening your eyes a bit to bring on a little alertness in order to stay present. Sense of touch. Just notice how You're supported, if you're sitting in a chair, by the back of the chair and the seat and the floor. Or if you're on a cushion, then just notice the contact of your thighs and butt on the cushions, contact of your lower limbs, feet in contact with the floor. Might even be aware of the way the forces of gravity are drawing you gently downwards. The weight of your arms in your lap. The weight of your torso on the cushion or seat. Even the sense of the weight of your clothes. Just notice. Part of what we do in meditation in this first exercise is really orienting ourselves to being present and aware of how we are feeling in the present moment, and a movement from an awareness of what's happening beyond our body to maybe what's happening internally. And the best way to do that is to just shift your awareness to your breath. Where do you notice your breath? Perhaps the rise and fall, the breath in the chest. You may notice the belly moving. You may notice the expansion and contraction of the ribs. Or perhaps the cool air as you breathe in through your nostrils. Slightly warm air as you exhale. Just notice. And for some of you, you may have relaxed to the point where you've dropped off to sleep a little bit or just gone into a twilight zone. So as soon as you become aware that you've dropped into that state, I invite you to just shift your posture again. This is a process of bringing one's awareness to how things are really, how they really are in this moment. And for others of you, you might be very aware of the busyness of the mind. thinking mind. What happens is the thoughts cascade one after the other. Just notice the busyness of the mind as if you're witnessing it, the chatter, thinking. The mind maybe has slipped into storytelling too, making sense of what happened today. Or the discomfort, or your experience of maybe even boredom as we slowly engage with being present. So without judgment or criticism, we're doing is really shepherding our awareness back to now. We're not trying to push away those thoughts. Just allowing them to arise. Not hanging on to them, not grasping onto them, just allowing them to pass by. And then shepherd your awareness back to the present moment. Just focusing on where you notice your breath. Allowing the body to breathe itself. In this moment, we're not trying to change anything. We're inviting a letting go. While maintaining alertness to one's experience. A letting go of the thoughts through witnessing their arising and allowing them to pass. And correcting your posture. If sleepiness has arisen, just lengthening the spine. Rolling the shoulders back ever so slightly. Sensing your connectedness with the seat or cushion. And notice There's an art to this of allowing things to just be as they are in this moment. So this is a form of mindfulness practice, allowing the body to relax. And that's sometimes what induces sleepiness if we're tired. Mindfulness is it's a natural capacity that we all have. And it's the beginning of what is possible when we can slow down the pace of the thinking down and then paying attention to how we are in our soma, in our body. Building the capacity of this self-witnessing. Noticing how the body breathes itself. Naturally. And opening to our senses. Again, listening to experience through our senses, our ears, sounds, silence, sensations and movement within the body. And a letting go of the cascading thoughts. Not trying to change anything, allowing things to be as they are. As you check in, you may feel tension in the body, in your shoulders, maybe muscles in the head around the temples, tension in the jaw or the lips or around the eyes. Be even some pain in joints. And just scan your body to just notice where there may be some holding, a sort of tightening, maybe in the chest or in the belly, in the thigh muscles, hands, fingers, maybe even the feet. Just notice where there's tension, maybe discomfort. Just acknowledging what's present there. If it gets too intense to even focus on it, then I invite you to just pause and just take your awareness down to your feet and wiggle your toes. Or push your feet into the ground. Just see if it's possible to bring some acceptance of that is for you right now. And an invitation to allow a softening. If it's comfortable to do so, to allow the tension to soften and melt down through your body and feet into the earth below. So that concludes the first practice. Just spend a minute or two. Stand up if you wish. Stretch. If you want to shift your position, want to move from the floor to a chair, or vice versa. So before we begin the next exercise, just a word of with meditation, and that is that whilst for many it can be a pleasant experience, it's not always a pleasant experience. And the truth is that you will know yourselves better than anyone else. If at any time during any of these practices you get a sense of discomfort, something triggering, something that might bring in some overwhelming thoughts or whatever, I really invite you to take care of yourself. And that might mean that you just shift around, or you just give yourself a bit of an arm embrace, or a grounding exercise like pushing your feet into the ground to just reconnect yourself, to ground yourself. Because the truth is, we all have ways in which we use our body to defend ourselves from, really to keep ourselves safe. So when we start to allow tension to melt away, it can sometimes actually trigger a whole lot of experiences imagery or something that may, need to be helped in some way, and meditation may not be the way to deal with it. So again, this is just something to be mindful of. If you have had some experiences in the past that some trauma of some sort, meditation may not be a good thing to do. But what we're doing is really testing the water in experiencing that, allowing the body to relax and allowing our natural state and our natural self to be as it is, really without the mind taking over. And what we're really doing is, through using various practices, is attempting to slow the thoughts, not to push them away, but allowing a slowing down so that one can find a pause between them. It sounds very simple, and it's not easily done in a modern life. However, what we're doing is, and what one does through meditation is, mindfulness meditation is practicing through the process of the unfolding, the letting go and allowing things to be as they are. With practice and with repetition, then there can be benefits. Benefits in terms of a sense of openness, perhaps spaciousness in our experience, but not always, as I say. Sometimes it can be triggering, and that may mean that we need to go and talk with someone or find someone who can help us. So what we will do now is take ourselves from where we are now, and for most of us, I think I'm noticing a slowing of the breath and a relaxation, sometimes to the point of sleepiness. So I'm just going to invite you to, as best you can, to check your posture as soon as you're drifting off into sleepiness, because that daydreaming, comfortable state before you move into sleep is not meditating. It's another state. So working with being alert as best we can in order to continue attending and being aware is an important step in getting benefits from meditation practice. But one needs to be aware to guide oneself, to be present and fully aware. So check your posture again. The back, the head, the chin, shoulders relaxed, hands relaxed. Notice the weight of your body on the seat or cushion and your connection with the floor. And now see if you can move your awareness to your body, and wherever you notice the breath, without changing your breath, just be aware of the rhythm, the natural rhythm of your breath. Bring your attention either through the movement in the belly, diaphragm or chest, or the movement of air through your nostrils. Just notice. And if the thinking mind is busy still, it may be as busy as it was when you first arrived, or maybe not. Just notice without any judgment. Just notice the thoughts, images, sensations, maybe feelings or a mood. Just notice without any evaluation or commentary about it. Just be aware of what's present. And let go. Just allow. Not hanging on to them. Technique that can really help to be able to maintain sort of present experience. I mean, one strategy is to just use a simple word, like as the thought comes, for example, just say thinking. Thinking. And a feeling might arise, you can just call it a feeling. Thinking. Feeling. Sensation. Tension. Sound. Simple word to just name it and observe. And if you're going into sleep, you might say, sleepy. Thinking. Sound. Sleepy. And if the mind has wandered into storyland, it's so very enticing to go off and daydream. So without any criticism, just simply shepherd your awareness back to your breath. We begin again. So labeling is one strategy, a simple word to the experience that arises, and then moving your awareness back to the breath. But we can also simply use the breath. Noticing the cool air as you inhale and the slightly warm air as you exhale. The cool air as you inhale, slightly warm air as you exhale. And one can get even more precise in narrowing the focus of the inhalation at the tip of the nostril. The sensation of the movement of the air as you're breathing in and out through the tip of your nose. Or through your mouth if your nose is blocked. If the mind has wandered, give it a label, thinking, story, feeling. Correct your posture. Shepherd your awareness back to what keeps you connected in this moment, right here. So every time that you become aware of or taken away by the distraction, that is the gold. That is where you have a choice to let it go. Consciously letting it go. That is where the gold is. The process of awareness in the present moment and an awareness of the distraction and the letting go is something that one can do many moments throughout the day. Finding a way in which to bring in a really simple process to pause. Mindfully. Throughout the day, because one can come and learn to meditate and one can set aside some time in one's day to do it. The gold is about doing it in an aware and present state. It's not daydreaming. It's literally allowing that is there, bringing acceptance to it, and beginning again. The pause of the thought, a pause of the story, the incessant monkey mind, very repetitious. Often the same story, the same phrases, same self-criticisms, all sorts of activity of the mind, and the holding of the body. You know, the way we protect ourselves. Just letting it go. When you become aware of the tension, just soften the eyes, the mouth, the shoulders.